This is example 9B from our notes P.3 and P.4 about factoring general trinomials. So here we have 2x squared minus xy minus 15y squared, and we're going to try to factor this. First, I'm going to factor using guess and check. So guess and check. In guess and check, I know what I want. There's no GCF here, so I'm skipping that step. I want to get two binomials that multiply back to 2x squared minus xy minus 15y squared. The first two terms have to multiply to 2x squared. I have to use 2x and x. Those are my only factors. The last two terms have to multiply to negative 15y squared. So my options are I can use 5 and negative 3 and 5, 15 and negative 1, negative 1 and 15. And then it's your choice what you choose. So I can choose positive 5y and negative 3y, negative 5y and positive 3y, and the same thing with 15y and y. So let's try, I want negative xy in the n. So I'm going to put net minus 3y here, knowing that 2x minus 3y, when I multiply those, I'm going to get negative 6xy. And I'm going to put plus 5y here, so that I get a positive 5xy. And then I'm going to check those outer and inner terms and make sure they multiply to what I want. So the inner terms multiply to 5xy, and the outer terms multiply to negative 6xy. Together, they add to negative xy, which is what I want. The other way that I can solve this problem is to use the AC method. So in the AC method, AC here is 2 times 15y squared, which is 30y squared. So I need two numbers that multiply to, I know that two numbers that add to 30y squared. So I'm going to choose, I need them to add to, the two numbers that multiply to 30y squared, but add to negative y. That's what I need. So those numbers are negative 6y and positive 5y. So I'm going to use that to split the negative xy into two terms. So negative 2x squared minus 6xy plus 5xy minus 15y squared. And then I'm going to factor by grouping the first two terms. So I'm going to take out the greatest common factor, which is 2x, leaving me with x minus 3y. And then I'm going to factor the second two terms by grouping. I'm going to take out the greatest common factor, which is plus 5y, leaving me with x minus 3y. The x minus 3y is a common factor of both terms. So I can factor this as 2x plus 5y times x minus 3y. And we could expand this out. I'm not going to do it in the interest of time to make sure that we indeed get 2x squared minus xy minus 15y squared. The last example, I have negative 3x squared plus 16x plus 35. Here, I can look for greatest common factor. I don't have one, but I don't like that negative leading coefficient. So I would recommend factoring out the negative 1, which will make your factoring process a little easier. This we can factor either by guess and check or by AC. So by guess and check, I know that I want my binomial, the first two terms have to multiply to 3x squared, so that's 3x and x. The last two terms have to multiply to negative 35, so I can choose my factors. You can choose 5 and negative 7 and 5, negative 35 and 1, negative 1 and 35. Usually we choose the factors that are close together. So let's choose 5 and negative 7. And then we have to guess where they go. So I'll put the plus 5 here, the negative 7 there, and I'll check the OI terms, the outer and inner. So this is plus 5x minus 21x. Together, those add to negative 16x. So this is indeed the proper factorization. Let's solve this by the AC method. So here, AC is equal to, we're going to do positive 3 because we already factored out that negative sign. So 3 times 35, which is 105. So I want numbers that multiply to 105 but add to positive 16. I'm sorry, this is times negative 35. So it's negative 105. So I want numbers that multiply to negative 105 but add to 16. Those numbers, if you play around with them a little bit, you get negative 21. You get negative 21 and 5. I'm sorry, they should add to negative 16. Sorry about that. Then we're going to split up the negative 16 into negative 21 and 5. So I'm going to have the opposite of 3x squared minus 21x plus 5x minus 35. Then I'm going to factor the first two terms by grouping and then the last two terms. So I'm going to have, keep carrying down this negative outside the parentheses, negative 3x times x minus 7 plus factoring the second two terms here, take out the GCF, which is 5 times x minus 7. We see that x minus 7 is a common factor to both terms, which means we can factor that out, and that leaves us with negative, and then 3x plus 5 times x minus 7.